Every 2 weeks, money hits your account. You feel that little rush, that brief moment of relief. Finally, you can breathe. You can pay the rent, grab groceries, maybe even treat yourself to something small. But within days, sometimes hours, it's gone, vanished. And you're back to counting dollars, checking your balance, wondering how the hell you're supposed to make it to the next paycheck. You blame yourself. You think you're the problem. But what if I told you that your salary amount was calculated specifically to keep you in this exact position? Not rich enough to quit, not poor enough to give up, just desperate enough to keep grinding. They've turned your paycheck into a drug. You get your hit every 2 weeks and it keeps you coming back for more. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended. And if you've never thought about it this way, you're about to see something that changes everything. Here's the ugly truth about salary psychology. They don't just pick a number out of thin air. There's actual research behind what they pay you. Studies on human behavior, on desperation levels, on how much pressure a person can take before they break. Your salary is the result of cold calculations designed to extract maximum productivity while giving you minimum survival resources. Think about it. If they paid you too little, you'd quit immediately. If they paid you too much, you'd get comfortable and maybe start thinking about leaving or starting your own thing. So they found the sweet spot, just enough to keep you alive, but not enough to give you real choices. It's like feeding a prisoner just enough calories to keep them working, but never enough to give them strength to escape. Every company has salary bands, pay scales, compensation studies. But what they're really studying is your breaking point. How desperate can we make them before they walk away? How trapped can we keep them while making them think they're building a career? Your paycheck isn't compensation, it's control. And this is just the beginning of how deep this rabbit hole goes. You know what's brilliant about the salary trap? They make you complicit in your own imprisonment. You negotiate your own chains. You sit in that interview room, and they ask you what you want to make. And you think you're being smart by asking for a little more than your last job. But you're just bidding on your own cage. They already know what they're willing to pay. They've done the math on what keeps you hungry but not starving. What keeps you motivated but not powerful. And here's the kicker. They make you feel grateful for it. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for this salary that barely covers my expenses. You're thanking them for the privilege of being trapped. Meanwhile, the company makes 10 times what they pay you from your work. Sometimes 100 times. But they convinced you that your slice of the pie is fair, maybe even generous. You negotiate against yourself before you even walk in the room. You ask for what you think you deserve, not what you're actually worth. And they smile and shake your hand, knowing they just got premium labor for discount prices. But here's where it gets even more twisted. They give you just enough hope to keep you hooked. Annual reviews, performance bonuses, the promise of promotion. Carrots dangling in front of your face while you run on the hamster wheel. You work extra hours thinking it'll pay off. You take on more responsibility believing they'll reward you for it. You sacrifice weekends, miss family dinners, skip vacations, all for the promise of more money that never really comes. And when it does come, it's never enough to change your situation. A 5% raise sounds great until you realize it's $50 more a month after taxes. That's not life-changing money, that's lunch money. But they present it like you just won the lottery, like you should be dancing in the hallways. Meanwhile, inflation ate up that raise 6 months ago. Your grocery bill went up more than your paycheck did. But you still feel grateful because they trained you to expect scraps and call them feasts. The hope is what kills you. If they just paid you poorly and left it at that, you'd leave. But they give you just enough possibility, just enough maybe, to keep you believing that next year will be different. Next promotion will be the one. Next bonus will finally give you breathing room. The hope is the hook. Here's the psychological warfare they don't teach you about. They make you compete against your coworkers for scraps while they feast on the profits you all generate together. Office politics isn't just drama. It's a design distraction. While you're fighting Sarah from accounting for that promotion, while you're trying to outwork Mike from sales, the executives are laughing all the way to the bank. You're so busy competing for breadcrumbs that you never look up to see who's eating the whole loaf. They pitch you against each other because unity is dangerous. If you and your coworkers ever sat down and compared notes, if you ever added up what you all generate versus what you all get paid, you'd realize you're being robbed in broad daylight. But they keep you isolated, competitive, suspicious of each other. They make you think your coworker getting ahead means less for you, when the truth is, there's enough wealth being generated to pay everyone well. They just choose not to. The real enemy isn't the person in the cubicle next to you. It's the system that convinced you both to fight for scraps while the real money flows upward. And speaking of money flowing upward, wait until you hear about this next part. They've weaponized your own ambition against you. Every dream you have, every goal you set, becomes another chain around your neck. You want to buy a house? Great, here's a mortgage that'll keep you working for 30 years. You want a nice car? Perfect. Here's a monthly payment that guarantees you can't quit your job. You want to start a family? Wonderful. Now you have mouths to feed and health insurance to maintain. Your dreams become their leverage. The bigger your aspirations, the tighter their grip. You think you're building a life, but you're actually building a prison. Every major purchase is another reason you can't walk away from that paycheck. And they know this. The whole consumer economy depends on it. They sell you the dream and then use that dream to trap you in the nightmare. You become a slave to your own desires. The house you wanted for freedom becomes the reason you can't be free. The car that was supposed to represent success becomes the chain that keeps you chained to a job you hate. Your ambition isn't lifting you up, it's weighing you down. And the system loves every second of it, because now you're not just working for survival, you're working to maintain the lifestyle they convinced you to want. But this gets even darker when you realize what they're really doing with your money. Here's the contradiction that'll make your head spin. They tell you to save money while designing a system that makes saving impossible. Financial experts scream about emergency funds and retirement accounts, while your rent eats 60% of your paycheck. They preach about building wealth while inflation destroys your purchasing power faster than you can earn it. You're supposed to invest in the stock market while you're maxing out credit cards to buy groceries. It's like telling someone to run a marathon while shooting them in the legs. The advice isn't wrong, it's just completely detached from your reality. They want you to live like you make $100,000 while paying you $40,000. Budget like you have disposable income, while every dollar is already spoken for before you earn it. The personal finance industry makes billions selling solutions to problems they helped create. Books about getting rich, written by people who got rich selling books about getting rich. Seminars about financial freedom that cost money you don't have. Meanwhile, the real wealth building happens at levels you'll never reach with a salary. Property empires, business ownership, investment returns that dwarf anything you'll see from your 401k. They give you a piggy bank and tell you it's wealth building while they're out there moving mountains. The game is rigged and they're selling you strategies for a game you're not even allowed to play. The sickest part is how they make you police yourself. You internalize their limitations and make them your own. You stop asking for raises because you don't want to seem greedy. You work unpaid overtime because you don't want to appear lazy. You skip vacation days because you're afraid of looking uncommitted. They don't even need to watch you anymore because you're watching yourself. You've become your own warden. You negotiate yourself down before anyone else gets the chance. You think thoughts like, I should be grateful to have a job, or maybe I'm not worth more money, or I don't want to rock the boat. Those aren't your thoughts. Those are their thoughts living in your head rent-free. You've been programmed to accept less and call it humility, to work harder for the same pay and call it dedication, to sacrifice your time, your health, your relationships and call it career building. Meanwhile, they're getting richer off your self-imposed limitations. Every time you don't ask for what you're worth, every time you accept their excuse about budget constraints, every time you smile and say no problem when they pile more work on your desk, you're doing their job for them. You're managing your own exploitation. And the beautiful thing is, they don't even have to feel guilty about it because you're volunteering for your own oppression. But here's what happens when you finally wake up. The moment you see the game for what it is, everything changes. Not your bank account, not your job, but your mind. And that's where real power begins. You stop measuring your worth by their paycheck. You stop letting their limitations become your ceiling. You realize that your salary isn't your value. It's just what they're willing to pay to keep you quiet. Once you understand that every dollar they give you is designed to extract $10 of value from you, you start thinking differently. You stop being grateful for scraps and start getting angry about the feast you're not invited to. That anger isn't destructive, it's fuel. It's the energy you need to start making different choices. Maybe you start that side business they don't want you to have. Maybe you learn skills they don't want you to learn. Maybe you start networking with people who see your real potential instead of just your job title. The system only works when you believe in it, when you believe you deserve what you're getting, when you believe this is just how life works. But once you see the strings, once you understand the game, you can start playing by different rules. They need you more than you need them. Your labor creates their wealth. Without you, they have nothing. With you, they have everything. They don't want you to know this, but now you do. If this video just shattered something inside your head, if you're sitting there realizing you've been living in a cage you didn't even know existed, then you're ready for what comes next. This channel isn't about feel-good motivational garbage. It's about the brutal truth of how money really works in a system designed to keep you broke. Subscribe if you want to see behind the curtain. Subscribe if you're tired of being lied to by people who profit from your ignorance. This is just the beginning. There are more traps, more lies, more ways they're stealing from you that you haven't even discovered yet. But you can't unsee what you've already seen. And neither can the thousands of other people who are waking up to this reality. Don't go back to sleep. The truth about money starts here.